Welcome students. Let us understand consumer equilibrium in one commodity case and two commodity case. In the last classes we had discussed the meaning of utility and assumptions of law of diminishing marginal utility. If we revise quickly, law of diminishing marginal utility is the law which states that as we continue to consume more and more units of the same commodity, the utility derived from each successive commodity or unit of that commodity declines. And utility approach says that we can measure utility. It can be measured in terms of monetary terms or in terms of numbers. So that is also called cardinal concept. So coming to that cardinal concept only, equilibrium. What is the meaning of equilibrium? Equilibrium is the situation when the consumer feels that he has maximized his satisfaction at a given income and price, and he will no more consume any commodity. So whatever units of commodity he has consumed, he has been satisfied or he is satisfied at that level, that is consumer's equilibrium. Let us take example of one commodity. So there are several assumptions like one commodity, two commodity, or multi-commodity. We will discuss one commodity and two commodity. So suppose a consumer has a given income and he is consuming only one commodity, and name of the commodity is X. Now in case of X also, he will find that with continuous consumption of that commodity, the utility derived is gradually decreasing. So what level or how many units of consumption will lead to him in a situation when he will feel that he has satisfied the consumption and satisfied the utility, and no more he can consume that commodity. So let us take the assumption that marginal utility of the good, that means X, is equal to price of the product X. So here we will assume that the price of this commodity X is equal to 5 rupees. So for each unit you have to pay 5 rupees, and marginal utility of X is equal to price of X. The level at which we will find that marginal utility of X is equal to price of X, that level will be considered as the level of equilibrium. So you can see this table in which the consumer is consuming several units of the commodity. Price is rupees 5 at each level. So when he consumes the first unit, he is getting a utility of 8. So at expense of 5 rupees, he gets utility equal to rupees 8, and gradually when he consumes more and more units, the utility starts declining. At the third unit, he will find that after spending 5 rupees, the utility that he is deriving is equal to 5 rupees. So this situation will be called consumer's equilibrium in single commodity, because at this point he will assume that his money's worth has been derived, and if he continues the consumption of the commodity, his money will now go waste. So look at the fourth unit, you will observe that by spending 5 rupees he is having a marginal utility of 4, and gradually it is declining to 3. That means he is having a loss in terms of utility. That is why the third unit will be the level of equilibrium. Now let us try to understand one commodity case with the help of this graph. In the graph you can observe that the same things that has been told are shown in the graph. The x-axis shows the quantity or number of units consumed, and y-axis shows price and utility of that product. So price of the commodity will be at 5 only. So from 0 level of consumption to 5 units, at every level the price is rupees 5. So it is a parallel line or line parallel to x-axis, and marginal utility is declining. For the first unit the marginal utility is 8 and gradually it declines. So you will find that the MU graph is gradually declining. So point E is the point of equilibrium because at this particular point marginal utility of X is 5 and price is also equal to 5. So this is the graph for consumer's equilibrium in one commodity case. So here the total amount spent is equal to satisfaction received by the consumer. So beyond this level, if he consumes, he will lose utility, so he will not continue the consumption. Now come to case 2, that means two commodity case of consumers equilibrium. In case of two commodities, now this formula or equation has to be followed. Consumer retains equilibrium at a level when marginal utility of X by price of X is equal to marginal utility of Y, that means commodity Y, divided by price of Y. It means that you are having equal level of equilibrium by consuming either X or either Y. Now let us assume the same example where marginal utility of X is 5 divided by price of X, that is 5, so this is equal to 1. So they will have equilibrium or same equilibrium in case of commodity Y when suppose the marginal utility of Y is 10 and the price of Y is also equal to 10. So at this level what will happen? 10 divided by 10 will be equal to 1. So MUX by PX is equal to MUY by PY. Now this is also called law of equimarginal utility. What does this law states? This law states that a consumer will so allocate his expenditure so that utility gain from last rupee spent on each commodity is equal. So in this example we can see that the MU of X or commodity X divided by price of X, whether it is 5 divided by 5 or whether it is 3 by 3, whatever it is, the answer will be equal for MUX by PX and MUY divided by price of Y. That means equal amount of utility is gained from the rupee or 1 rupee that you are spending. So in case of commodity X, you are having utility of rupee 1 or marginal utility of 1 for spending rupee 1. And in case of commodity Y also, you will have to attain a situation where the utility derived from 1 rupee spent is equal to 1 rupee, and that situation will be called a situation of consumer's equilibrium in two commodity case. So it is subject to budget constraint. Why? Because people have a certain budget and within that budget only they have to spend the money. Everybody has certain income and within that income the person has to spend, purchase commodities and derive utility. So in two commodity case we can see this graph, or you try to understand this graph. In this graph you can see that O is showing the price and utility of commodity X and Y is showing the price of X, price of Y and utility of Y. X start from left hand side and continues to right hand side. So commodities or units of X will start from 1, then rightwards 2, then rightwards 3 and like that it will go to 5. Similarly in case of Y, the first commodity will be the right one and then leftwards they will increase the consumption. So as you can see the graph of utility or marginal utility which goes downwards in case of single commodity also, and in case of two commodity also the graph will go downwards. So when these two marginal utility graph will coincide with each other, you can see at point E both the utility graphs or marginal utility graphs are coinciding. So this will be the point of equilibrium in case of two commodities. So this is the concept of consumer equilibrium in two commodities. So it can happen in case of multiple commodities also. Suppose two people have same income, say 20,000 per month, and they are spending money on several products like rice, wheat, pulses, milk, education, transportation, all these things. Both are spending on different items, and the quantity of consumption may be different for those two people, but it may happen that in both the cases, both of them arrive at a situation that the marginal utility of amount spent by them is equal to the marginal utility of the other person. Now, one more situation. What will happen then when marginal utility of x by p of x is not equal to marginal utility of y divided by p or price of y? That means it is a situation of disequilibrium. That means in one particular commodity you are having more utility, and another commodity you are having less commodity. Now two situations are like this. Number one, when marginal utility of x by px is greater than mu of y by py, it means that by consuming x, the consumer is having more utility. So you may say that mu of x by px is equal to 2 and mu of y by py equals to 1. So in this case, x is giving more utility. So what will happen? The consumer will increase the consumption of commodity X. Now, as the consumer increases the consumption of commodity X, what happens? That the gradual consumption of more and more units will decrease the utility, and a point will come when marginal utility of x by px will be equal to mu of y by py. So this is a situation where consumer tries to attain a situation where mu x by px is equal to mu y by py, and that is the level of equilibrium. That means the consumer is allocating more money to x and less money to y when this is the situation, or situation 1. Now come to situation 2. In situation 2, just opposite of 1, mu of y is more than mu of x. That means mu of x by px is lesser than mu of y by py. It means that in case of y, the consumer is having more utility or more marginal utility. Now what the consumer will do? He will allocate more money to y and he will decrease the allocation of money to x. So when he will shift from x to y, now when he will shift from x to y, he will decrease his consumption. In case of x, the marginal utility will increase because he is decreasing the consumption. So when you decrease the consumption, so from 5 units you decrease to 4 units, your marginal utility increases. So when you go backwards from more units to lesser unit, your mu increases. And in case of y, when you increase your consumption, your mu decreases. So like this, there will be a situation when mu x by px will be equal to mu y by py. So in both the situation, it will happen that the situation of disequilibrium will be brought to equilibrium situation by decreasing the consumption of one commodity and increasing the consumption of another commodity. By decreasing the consumption of one commodity, its marginal utility will gradually increase, and by increasing the consumption of another commodity, its marginal utility will gradually decrease, and a situation will come when both will have same marginal utility by spending 1 rupee. So this is about equilibrium of two commodities and one commodities, or cardinal concept. In the next video we will understand ordinal concept or consumer equilibrium with indifference curve approach. Thank you.